Hello, insightful Scorpio. Some changes don't arrive with dramatic announcements. They begin quietly, beneath the surface, long before anyone else can see them. Like gentle currents moving beneath still water, they reshape your inner world before they ever become visible in your outer life. This reflection invites you to notice what may already be shifting within you, especially in the places where you've been searching for greater stability, confidence, and peace of mind. Before anything changes around you, ask yourself an honest question. Are you responding from your deepest truth or from old fears that still linger beneath your instincts? Scorpio is naturally gifted at sensing what lies beneath appearances, yet even your powerful intuition can become clouded when past disappointments quietly influence present choices. When fear becomes your guide, even genuine opportunities can be difficult to recognize because they often arrive looking unfamiliar rather than perfect. The way you relate to success often mirrors the way you relate to yourself. External achievements rarely feel secure when your inner dialogue is shaped by self-doubt or the need to stay emotionally guarded. When uncertainty quietly influences your decisions, possibilities can seem much farther away than they truly are. Not because they have disappeared, but because your attention has become fixed on what could go wrong instead of what could grow. But when you begin replacing emotional self-protection with quiet confidence, your perspective naturally widens. You stop reacting to every uncertainty and begin responding with intention. Think of this process as refining a piece of stone with patience rather than force. Every challenge you faced, every difficult conversation, every disappointment that asked you to rebuild your trust, and every lesson you've carried has been strengthening your judgment and helping you recognize what genuinely deserves your energy. Those experiences were never meant to harden your heart, they were meant to sharpen your discernment. One simple way to stay connected with that inner clarity is by creating small daily rituals that invite reflection instead of reaction. Consistency matters far more than perfection because even a few intentional moments each day can gradually reshape the way you experience your inner world. Spend a few minutes writing about the life you're intentionally building, not as wishful thinking, but as an expression of your values, your priorities, and the person you are becoming. Notice how your words begin to reveal patterns that are easy to miss during the rush of everyday life. Follow that with a brief meditation or simply sit with the steady glow of a candle until your thoughts begin to settle. Allow your breathing to slow naturally as your mind becomes less occupied with solving every problem at once. These quiet moments aren't about escaping reality. They help you hear your own intuition beneath the noise. Reconnect with a part of yourself that has always known the difference between caution and genuine wisdom, and create enough inner stillness for meaningful answers to emerge on their own. This path reaches far beyond material success. It asks you to care for your emotional well-being with the same dedication you give your responsibilities, ambitions, and commitments to others. Move your body in ways that help release tension. Nourish yourself with foods that leave you feeling grounded, and become increasingly aware of the people, conversations, and environments that shape your emotional landscape. Scorpio often absorbs more than others realize, carrying emotions long after everyone else has moved on. Because of that, protecting your inner space is not withdrawal. It's an act of self-respect and emotional stewardship. Healthy boundaries don't close your heart. They preserve its ability to remain open in the places where genuine trust can flourish. The more honestly you honor your own needs, the clearer your direction becomes, and the easier it is to recognize which relationships and opportunities truly support your growth. The appearance of the King of Pentacles offers a meaningful symbol here. Rather than promising instant rewards, it reflects the quiet strength that develops through patience, discipline, and lived experience. This card reminds you that genuine stability isn't created by dramatic breakthroughs, but by hundreds of thoughtful decisions made with consistency over time. It represents someone who has learned that lasting success grows from emotional maturity as much as practical wisdom. Keep investing your energy where it truly matters, instead of scattering it across distractions that no longer support your growth. Ask yourself what deserves your attention now, and what you continued carrying simply because it feels familiar. Sometimes the greatest act of progress is not adding something new to your life, but releasing responsibilities, expectations, or emotional burdens that quietly consume energy without giving anything meaningful in return. As you become more at home within yourself, your choices begin to reflect that deeper sense of security. You no longer feel the same urgency to prove your worth or seek reassurance from voices that cannot truly understand your journey. You don't need outside voices to define your worth when your own inner truth becomes steady enough to trust. Let your energy settle like still water, allowing clarity to rise naturally instead of forcing certainty or demanding immediate answers. Some of life's most meaningful insights appear only after you stop trying to control every outcome. If these reflections resonate with your experience, carry them with you as gentle guidance, returning to them whenever you need a reminder of your own inner strength. If they don't, allow them to pass without resistance, knowing that every person's path unfolds differently and that your own intuition, quiet, patient, and deeply perceptive, remains your most trustworthy companion as each new chapter gradually reveals itself. A quiet renewal begins when you finally release the disappointment of giving your heart to people who could never truly meet you where you stood. Whether in friendships, family connections, or intimate relationships, you've offered loyalty, compassion, and emotional strength, sometimes hoping those gifts would be returned in equal measure. You carried those relationships with sincerity because giving your whole heart has never been difficult for you. It has simply been your nature. As this chapter unfolds, you may recognize that your worth has never depended on another person's ability to appreciate it. Their inability to recognize your value has never diminished it. That realization becomes a turning point, allowing you to stop asking others for what they were never capable of offering and begin offering yourself the understanding you've been searching for elsewhere. When someone struggles to show empathy or emotional presence, it reveals far more about their own limitations than it does about your value. Some people can only give from the depth they have reached within themselves, and not everyone has learned how to meet another person with genuine openness. As you accept that truth, your energy naturally returns to you instead of remaining tied to old disappointments. For Scorpio, this is less about building walls and more about choosing where your heart truly belongs. Your strength isn't measured by how much pain you can endure, but by how wisely you decide where your emotional investment belongs. You begin investing your care where it can grow instead of where it continually disappears, creating space for relationships that nourish you rather than quietly draining your spirit. The Ace of Swords emerges as a symbol of clear perception cutting through old confusion. Rather than encouraging conflict, it invites you to face truths you've quietly sensed for a long time, but may have hesitated to acknowledge. Sometimes the hardest truth isn't about someone else. It is recognizing that you've already known the answer deep within yourself. Emotional manipulation, unhealthy attachments, or lingering self-doubt gradually lose their influence as your judgment becomes steadier. Instead of questioning your intuition, you begin trusting the quiet certainty that has been developing beneath the surface all along. The clarity you gain now has the potential to strengthen both your personal relationships and the decisions that shape your future, because every choice becomes less reactive and more deeply aligned with who you are becoming. The Chariot reflects disciplined movement rather than hurried ambition. Progress comes from directing your emotional energy with intention instead of allowing every setback or silence to determine your next step. Scorpio often possesses remarkable endurance, but true mastery comes when that determination is guided by clarity instead of emotional momentum alone. Even when answers seem delayed, you remain capable of moving forward with purpose because your direction is no longer dependent on someone else's response. Rather than chasing certainty, you begin trusting your own ability to navigate uncertainty with patience and self-respect. Real confidence grows when your actions reflect your deepest values rather than temporary emotions, allowing each decision to become another quiet expression of the person you are choosing to become. Judgment speaks of renewal through acceptance rather than regret. It suggests that old disappointments no longer have to define the way you see yourself or the way you approach love. Healing doesn't ask you to erase your past. It asks you to stop carrying it as proof that the future must unfold the same way. As you release familiar emotional patterns, you create space for relationships built on honesty, mutual respect, and genuine trust. The star deepens this message by reminding you that hope often returns quietly, restoring faith in both yourself and the meaningful connections still waiting to unfold. Like light reflecting across still water, hope doesn't demand attention. It simply becomes visible once the surface grows calm enough to reflect it. The Ten of Pentacles highlights the kind of stability that grows through patience, shared values, and consistent effort. It points toward building a life that feels emotionally secure as well as materially grounded, whether through family, lasting partnerships, or work that reflects who you have become. This card reminds you that the strongest foundations are built slowly, strengthened by everyday choices that may seem ordinary in the moment, but become extraordinary over time. Instead of measuring success by quick achievements, you begin recognizing the lasting rewards created through resilience, thoughtful choices, and the willingness to remain faithful to what truly matters, even when progress feels gradual. Your physical energy appears steady, yet your emotional well-being deserves equal attention. Worries that seem small can quietly accumulate if they are carried alone, gradually becoming heavier than they first appeared. Allow yourself to stay connected with people who genuinely support you, even if those conversations are brief. Solitude can nurture reflection, but too much isolation may cause old stories to echo louder than they deserve. Honest conversations, even from a distance, can remind you that strength and vulnerability are not opposites. Sometimes simply allowing yourself to be seen without pretending to have every answer becomes one of the most healing experiences of all. Professionally, your efforts may begin revealing their deeper value as projects you've patiently developed start showing meaningful progress. Skills you've refined behind the scenes, lessons learned through setbacks, and the discipline you'd maintained even when no one was watching all begin contributing to a stronger foundation. If you're searching for new opportunities, remain open to unexpected pathways and continue refining your skills with confidence instead of discouragement. Growth rarely arrives all at once, but every thoughtful step builds momentum that becomes easier to recognize over time. The patience you've invested in your own development often becomes the very quality that sets you apart when meaningful opportunities appear. Financially, the symbolism of the swords encourages wise decisions rooted in clarity rather than fear. As your discernment strengthens, you become better at recognizing opportunities that genuinely align with your long-term priorities, while avoiding choices driven by urgency or emotional pressure. Rather than reacting to every possibility, you begin asking whether each decision supports the future you truly want to build. Conversations, agreements, or carefully considered plans could open meaningful possibilities, not because they are guaranteed, but because your perspective has become sharper through experience. Wisdom grows from knowing that lasting prosperity is often shaped by thoughtful consistency, far more than dramatic moments of good fortune. In matters of the heart, relationships deepen when honesty replaces assumption and trust is built through consistent actions rather than promises. Emotional intimacy flourishes when both people feel safe enough to reveal their authentic selves without fear of being diminished or misunderstood. If you're sharing your life with someone, this can become a meaningful opportunity to strengthen emotional intimacy and imagine a future shaped by mutual respect. Small gestures of understanding, patient listening, and honest conversations may create stronger foundations than grand declarations ever could. The greatest transformation may not come from finding someone new, but from meeting each connection with greater self-awareness, healthier boundaries, and the quiet confidence that grows when you no longer abandon yourself in order to be loved. In choosing yourself with compassion, you also become far more capable of building relationships where love is freely shared, rather than constantly earned. If you're sharing your life with someone, this chapter invites more openness, warmth, and genuine enjoyment of the connection you've been building together. Instead of rushing toward major milestones, allow meaningful conversations about your future to emerge naturally when both of you feel ready. The strongest relationships rarely grow because every answer is already known. They grow because two people continue choosing honesty, patience, and understanding as life unfolds. whether those dreams involve creating a home, expanding your family, or simply strengthening the life you already share. Lasting stability grows from mutual trust rather than external expectations. Let your relationship evolve at its own pace instead of measuring it against anyone else's timeline. Every partnership develops its own rhythm, and honoring that rhythm often creates a deeper sense of security than trying to keep up with someone else's idea of what love should look like. You may also notice that not everyone immediately understands the person you become. A family member could still be observing you carefully, forming opinions from old impressions rather than present reality. Sometimes people continue relating to an earlier version of you because they haven't yet witnessed the quiet inner changes you've experienced. Rather than trying to convince anyone, continue showing your character through consistent actions and quiet integrity. Trust develops gradually, and the people who truly matter often recognize sincerity over time, without needing to be persuaded. Authenticity has a way of speaking for itself, even when words seem unnecessary. If you're single, memories of someone from your past may surface, whether through an unexpected encounter or simply through quiet reflection. Certain connections leave lasting emotional echoes, and Scorpio knows better than most that some stories continue living within us long after they have ended. Before reopening a familiar chapter, pause long enough to ask yourself whether you're responding from genuine healing or from the comfort of what feels familiar. Emotional familiarity can sometimes disguise itself as destiny when it is really inviting you to revisit an old lesson. Scorpio understands that emotional bonds can linger long after circumstances have changed, but not every unfinished story deserves another beginning. Sometimes the greatest act of self-respect is choosing the path that reflects who you become, instead of returning to who you once were. People can certainly grow, but meaningful change requires self-awareness, accountability, and consistent action. Time alone does not transform a person. Transformation happens through honest reflection and the willingness to make different choices. Rather than asking whether another person has changed, consider how much you have transformed through your own experiences. The standards you hold today may be very different from those you once accepted, because your understanding of love, respect, and emotional safety has evolved. Allow those deeper insights to guide your choices instead of nostalgia alone, remembering that moving forward can sometimes be the most compassionate decision you make for yourself. Choosing peace over familiarity is not giving up, it's honoring the wisdom you've earned. Family relationships may also reveal opportunities for quiet healing. Long-standing emotional patterns, especially those involving distance, control, or unspoken expectations, can become easier to recognize when viewed with compassion instead of judgment. As old dynamics become more visible, you may find yourself responding differently than you once would have, breaking cycles without needing to create conflict. Your willingness to communicate honestly creates room for greater understanding, whether with relatives by blood or with the people who have become family through love and loyalty. The strongest connections are often the ones that allow everyone to grow without asking anyone to abandon who they truly are. Healing within a family often begins when just one person chooses awareness over automatic reaction. Children or younger family members may remind you of the value of curiosity, playfulness, and emotional presence. Their perspective encourages you to reconnect with simple moments that often carry more meaning than grand achievements. They have a remarkable ability to pull attention back to the present moment, where joy is often quieter and more accessible than we expect. As you continue healing, your presence naturally brings greater stability to those around you, not because you solve every problem, but because you create an atmosphere where others feel safe to be themselves. Sometimes your calm presence becomes the reassurance someone else has quietly been searching for. Your energy has the potential to feel both focused and deeply creative when it is directed with intention. One of Scorpio's quiet strengths is the ability to commit wholeheartedly to what truly matters, and that gift becomes even more powerful when it is balanced with healthy emotional boundaries. Your determination becomes most effective when it is supported by emotional clarity instead of emotional exhaustion. Continue offering kindness generously, but remember that compassion does not require carrying responsibilities that belong to someone else. There is an important difference between supporting people and sacrificing your own well-being for them. Protecting your peace allows your generosity to remain sustainable, ensuring that what you give continues to come from abundance rather than depletion. At the same time, practice discernment with those who have repeatedly broken your trust. Forgiveness and reconciliation are not always the same choice, and emotional wisdom sometimes means recognizing when a lesson has already been learned. Allow experience to become a source of guidance rather than a reason to close your heart completely. Be equally mindful of your words. Honesty is one of your greatest strengths, but truth carries the greatest impact when it is offered with compassion instead of emotional intensity. Sometimes silence creates more healing than the perfectly spoken argument, while gentle words spoken at the right moment can open doors that force never could. If you're studying or developing new skills, continue valuing steady progress over perfection. Your determination can become one of your greatest advantages, but it can also tempt you to measure your worth by every result. Remember that learning is rarely a straight path. Periods of uncertainty often prepare the mind for deeper understanding. Allow yourself to learn without expecting flawless outcomes. Every challenge strengthens abilities that cannot always be measured immediately. Real growth comes from curiosity, consistency, and resilience, far more than from any single achievement, and confidence develops through the willingness to keep showing up for yourself. When it comes to compatibility, notice the people who naturally encourage balance, emotional depth, and practical support. Earth signs such as Taurus and Virgo may offer a grounding influence that complements your intensity, while fellow water signs can sometimes understand emotions that rarely need to be explained. Rather than focusing only on astrological labels, pay attention to how you actually feel after spending time with someone. Healthy relationships leave you feeling more like yourself, not less. Rather than treating compatibility as a guarantee, see it as an invitation to observe which relationships help you become more authentic, peaceful, and emotionally secure. The connections worth nurturing are often the ones that encourage both closeness and personal growth at the same time. As this reflection comes to a close, remember that astrology is not here to make decisions for you. Its purpose is to offer symbols that encourage deeper awareness of your own experiences and invite thoughtful self-reflection rather than absolute certainty. Keep what resonates with your heart, release what does not, and trust your own intuition above any interpretation. Your inner wisdom has been quietly developing through every experience you've lived, and it deserves your confidence. If this reflection brought you clarity or offered a meaningful perspective, I'd be grateful if you supported it with a like. And if you'd like to continue exploring thoughtful astrology reflections together, you're warmly invited to subscribe and join this community. Thank you for sharing your time, your openness, and your trust. Until we meet again, take gentle care of yourself, continue honoring the person you're becoming, and remember that every meaningful transformation begins with the quiet choices you make within yourself.